As a continued part of the self-published book unboxing series, I thought it was high time that we took a look at the KDP Print full color paperback books. Stay tuned. This is Self-Publishing with Dale, where you'll learn to publish books that sell and build an unstoppable brand. Today, we return back to the well to talk a little bit more about print-on-demand books and distributors. And today, more importantly, we're going to revisit KDP Print. As some of you may be aware, CreateSpace more recently had merged with KDP Print, and this leaves us with this option. However, there's many people that say, oh, I don't like KDP Print, it doesn't have good high quality books. I am going to share with you something that could be a game changer in your business, and that is the full color option. And more importantly, the full color option with bleed. You may say, what's bleed? Okay, so here's the deal. A lot of people kind of get really scared when they go and deal with bleed. Bleed is essentially this. You are creating content within your interior that's going to go edge to edge. In other words, some of that content is going to be cut off. It creates for a nice interior, a nice graphic design that's eye-catching for your reader. If you are a children's book author, or you're somebody that is doing, say, for instance, coffee table picture books, then bleed is probably going to be your option. Just remember that if you're going to publish a book with bleed, you can't have any of your text or any of your most important content towards the edges of the page. You're going to want to make sure that your width is 0.125 inches wider and your height is going to be an additional 0.25 inches. Always double check if you're utilizing bleed for your books that you have increased the size of your book and you don't have any relevant content spilling off into the bleed area. For instance, if you upload a book with any kind of text that's even close to where that bleed cutoff's at, it will set off the auto vetter for KDP Print's software. Some of you who have been probably following me for quite some time over at twitch.tv/self-publish may remember about a couple years ago, a little kid's book that I put together and I designed live on the air. It was called Grumpy Gus, and it's put around this children's book type character and valuable life lessons. And this book series was a lot of fun, and I wish I could tell you that I've had tons of success, but it was more put together for an example's sake. And this is probably one of the great opportunities for me to share with you how full color can be advantageous. And even though full color books can cost a bit more, it will pay off in the long run, especially when it comes to quality. And I'm super, super happy when it comes to KDP Print's full color options. As per usual, when it comes to the self-published book unboxing series, I want to make a reminder that we're focusing more on the product, not necessarily the actual contents. So in other words, we're not judging my Grumpy Gus book, so before anybody starts trolling away and saying, oh, well, the Grumpy Gus book, blah, 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 let's just focus on the quality. The next thing is, how long does it take to deliver the product? And by popular demand, we're going to focus on the costs and profits of each one of these books. When I placed the order for these 3 books, I did it together, and this was in the midst of Q4, so I was fairly surprised when I actually got these on my doorstep within 4 days of ordering. But as per usual, Amazon kind of let me down because rather than sending them in a corrugated cardboard box, which I like, they sent it in a bubble wrap envelope. Yeah, fairly underwhelming. And I even found that the bubble wrap envelope was a little bit handled. Thankfully, the books were still in pristine shape. I was super happy with how they arrived, but I can only imagine if it was a heavier book sent in this bubble wrap, it could probably get banged up. As you may remember in my previous series on KDP Print, good friend of the channel, Mark Brownless, his book actually showed up just beat up. It was almost like someone kicked it to my doorstep. So Amazon, please, whether it's 1 book or 10 books, let's see about sending that in a corrugated cardboard box, all right? As far as the quality goes, it is second to none. However, I must preface all of this before I say anything is this is probably the only full color books I've ever had printed out, because prior to that, I published through CreateSpace a full color book, and then I've published it through KDP Print. In theory, what Amazon has shared with us in the past is the same printers are being used on the books that we got from CreateSpace as they do on KDP Print. So there was no real shocker when it came to the quality of this particular book, and each one of them has full color, edge to edge, as I was mentioning about bleed and so forth. It really went into here and outside of here. You can see there's a little bit of a glossiness and a sheen to each one of the sheets. So this is really kind of nice. I like this. This reminds me of some of my childhood books, to where, you know, that feel of the page. It's very attractive to me. As far as the cover, it's pretty much on point when it comes to the other KDP Print books. Full color, nice glossy cover. It's pretty good. I might say though, when it comes to the actual glossiness, I still prefer and lean in favor of IngramSpark's glossy. It is a little less in your face, and you're not leaving smudge marks all over like you would on something like this. But what about the cost? Oh, here we go. This is where it gets a little bit iffy, and if you can't bear to hear how much you lose in color print books versus the standard printing, then you may want to skip to the next video, but stay with me for just now and I'll tell you exactly what the costs were, and it includes the wholesale cost. The wholesale cost of this was not too bad at $3.65, but you can see that it's a relatively thin book and it's not getting too thick. So if you're the type of person who's going to probably put out, say, a 200 or 300 page coffee table picture book, then it's going to be pretty pricey when it comes to wholesale cost. I mark each one of these books at about $11.95. Could I increase them or decrease them? Quite possibly. I think if I probably kicked them up just a little bit more, I might be able to profit a bit more. So that puts my profit margin at about $3.52. And here's the thing, I actually have Amazon Prime. This is not me trying to shill out Amazon Prime or try to get you to get the membership. It really is, it's free shipping. So all I do is I just put it on in there and you get what you pay for on this one. And it's pretty good. I'm very, very happy with the overall cost when I'm ordering it for myself. Now, when it comes to the reading audience that's looking for something like this, I would say do your due diligence and figure out what your audience anticipates, what they expect to pay for something like this, and try to account for possibly people having Prime memberships or no Prime memberships. In theory, you can actually order your own author copies through the Amazon KDP dashboard, and you're still getting it at the wholesale price. They'll eventually just put you right into the Amazon checkout cart. For me though, I just skip all of that. I typically go right into the store and I'll just buy the product outright. And the nice thing is, and this is not a black hat tactic by any stretch, and I don't want you to abuse something like this, but anytime that you purchase your book and send a copy to yourself or a loved one or someone else, what's going to end up happening is it will influence your rank when it comes into the actual paid bookstore. It's so minor, and the bump is just going to be just ever so slightly. But the nice thing is if you're just placing an order through Amazon and doing it this way, you're still going to get back your royalties, and it ends up being kind of a wash. So you could either order through author copies and it won't influence the rank, or you can order it just directly through Amazon and it will slightly influence the rank. Just keep that in mind. Once again, don't use it for nefarious reasons. Overall, I'm just going to go ahead and say that KDP Print puts out a pretty good stellar product, and especially considering we don't have to pay any kind of upload fees and the wholesale costs aren't too bad. But before you hit that publish button over at KDP Print, you may want to take a look over here at IngramSpark's paperback options. I have yet to actually break ground over on IngramSpark, and especially in the full color options, but this may be something for you to consider as you're going forward. In the meantime, I'll see you in the next video. Give IngramSpark big kudos when it comes to fulfilling their print orders. They send it in a corrugated cardboard box. This means